Grand Rising, and welcome back to my channel. I am Ia Dulce. Uh, just to be clear, Ia Dulce is not an Ocha name. No, it's not a Santera's name. Ia Dulce. Dulce was the name that was given to me by someone who thought that that would be a lovely name to use on my channel. And so that is the name I stuck with, Ia Dulce. And my actual Ocha name is Adebi. So anyway, I'm here today to actually show you how to make coffee. This was a request from my daughter, who said that I spoiled her on how I make my coffee, and so she thought it would be a great idea for me to share it with everyone else. So we are going to be looking at two ways of making coffee. Two ways meaning two different vessels that we can use to make the coffee. In our Dominican Cuban home, we used the cafetera, right? And it's also used in a lot of Latin homes, Caribbean homes, as well as Italian homes. And then we also have, the standard drip coffee maker, of course, not sponsored. What we're going to look at today is also making sure that the type of coffee that you use in the cafetera has to be an espresso type coffee. So Café Bustelo, which is my favorite, no, not sponsored, or something like Pilon, Café La Llave, Café Caribe, Café Rico, Café Goya, anyone, whichever one works for you. But it has to be an espresso type coffee to work really well in the espresso maker, because this is an espresso maker. So even though this looks like it would be 2 full cups of coffee, it's not. It'll be, it won't even fill up all the way to the top. And it's about maybe half of a standard coffee cup. So you might get about that much per person. So if you pour the entire contents into this cup, that's the only cup of coffee you're going to get, okay? So if you want to share, you're going to have to fill your coffee cup halfway, right, in order to be able to share with someone else. Or if you want to do shots, the really small coffee cups, you can do that as well, and you'll be able to share with more people. Anyway, so the cafetera comes in 3 pieces. So you want to unscrew the top. Right? So this is the base. This is the top where the coffee will brew up into from the base. Right? So we have that. Then we have the filter. So no paper filters needed. Right? And then you have the base, which is where the water will go. So to make sure that you're not making a mess on your stovetop, you want to make sure that the water is not filled above this knob. Okay, this is where the steam comes out from when the coffee is being made. So the water should not go above this. It should go right below on the inside of your coffee maker, of course. So once I fill the water, you may not be able to see it, but the water will stop here just below this point. Okay, I'm gonna fill it up. Okay, so now I have my water inside the vessel, right? Again, below this knob, because this is where the steam is going to come out, right? And then we're going to take our filter, we're going to place it inside, okay? And then for people who want the coffee really strong, you're going to fill this up, this entire filter with coffee. But for today's purposes, we're only using 2 tablespoons. So you can either use a measuring tablespoon that actually says 1 tablespoon on it, or you can use an actual spoon from your kitchen drawer. Either one, it's fine. This is not baking, so it's not an exact science. You don't have to measure it exactly or anything. But what you want to do is I do rounded tablespoons, either from the measuring spoon, right? Or if you just want to use a regular spoon, regular kitchen spoon, round it, right? So you're going to put that in. So, as you'll see, it's not completely full. But again, if you want it very strong, you're going to fill it up, right? Fill it up to the rim, right? And then pack it in. Some people like to pack it in. It's whatever your taste is. And then as you go along, you'll figure out what that is, right? So then once you've put the coffee in, what I tend to do, this is not what my grandmother taught me, and Ibae to my grandmother, who's in the ancestral realm. She was the one who showed me how to make coffee. She had been a domestic for many years. And of course, if you grew up in a Dominican, Cuban, Caribbean, Italian home, you make coffee, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and whenever. Somebody comes over, to sit down and have a chat, you make coffee. Police officer, comes over because somebody wrecked your car in the middle of the night, you make coffee. That's a story for another video. Anyway, all right, so what I do is, which is what I learned from a cooking channel, is that you want to add a pinch of salt. And a pinch of salt is just to cut the bitterness of the coffee, right? So please make sure it is a small pinch, because we're not making soup, we're making coffee, okay? All right, so even though I put that much in my hand, I didn't use all of that because you don't want it to taste like salt. You want it to be coffee. So you want to get rid of some of the bitterness and also make it a little sweet, right? All right, so then we're going to take and place our lid, right? This is where the coffee will end up once it's done brewing. I'm going to screw it back on. All right, make sure it's tight. Not too tight that you can't get it off later. So then you're going to turn the flame on, and you want to make sure that the flame is below the base only. Below the base only. Because what happens is you don't want to burn your handle, right? Especially not at the bottom, but particularly not at the top. If you end up burning the top part of this handle, it's done. You'll no longer be able to use it. You'll have to purchase a new cafetera. So anyway, while that's going, then I will show you the standard drip coffee maker, right? So in this case, the coffee carafe is only for, hold on, let me get myself together, will only make 5 cups of coffee, right? You see that? 5 cups of coffee, right? So in this case, you're going to use 1 tablespoon per 2 cups. So for this particular instance, there's 5 in here. So you're going to do 2.5 tablespoons of coffee for this carafe. If you're going to do a full carafe, okay? So 1 tablespoon per 2 cups, okay? Because unless you want it stronger, help yourself. In the meantime, then you're going to fill it up with water. Cool water, cold water is fine. Don't put hot water or warm water, because that's the purpose of the coffee maker. It'll do that for you. So then you're going to pour the water into the reservoir where the water should go. You go into the reservoir. And then sometimes, these coffee makers can be fickle. If you don't fill it all the way up to the top, then it's not going to show 5 cups exactly in the reservoir, right? So, which is fine. Do whatever you want. It's fine. And then, again, I'm not going to actually put coffee in here because I'm not making another pot of coffee. But again, you would do 1 tablespoon of coffee per 2 cups. So for a carafe of 5, it would be 2.5 tablespoons. If it's a carafe of 10 to 12, you want to do 5 to 6. Just depends on the strength. 5 to 6 tablespoons. It just depends on the strength that you want to make the coffee. And then obviously once you've placed the water, you've placed the coffee, don't forget to add your salt. The pink Himalayan salt is good. You can use regular table salt as well, but I find that this is better because you don't use as much But again, a pinch. We're not making soup. It's coffee. Okay. So then once you've done all that, then you can plug it in and it's ready to go. All right. So while that is working, continuing to work, because what we're looking for is we're waiting for the steam to start coming out of the side. Although you won't see it, you'll definitely hear it. And then I'll show you that as the coffee reaches the top as it's brewing, then I'll show you that as well. In the meantime, in between time, while we're waiting on that, one thing I wanted to mention, of course, is that we do not use instant coffee. Not instant coffee, right? Again, not sponsored. Nescafe, you know. Now, my grandmother was big on the Nescafe, Nestle products. It was Nescafe. I don't remember it being Nestle back in the day. But she was big on using these if she didn't feel like turning on the cafetera that day. And she also used the old-fashioned percolator. Y'all know the song, especially those of y'all from Baltimore. Y'all know the song. It's time for the percolator, right? So if she didn't want to use the percolator that day, she just used instant. And so, you know, it was Nescafe and Maxwell House and I don't know, some other brand. But, you know, they were better back in the day. I don't know about now. But so you don't want to use the instant coffee either in the cafetera or the drip because it's not made for that. So you just want to make sure that you do get an espresso type coffee or you know, any ground coffee. And the ground coffee, of course, any ground coffee that's not an espresso type coffee works better in the drip. But again, if you don't have the drip, go with what you know. And then, you know, use it in the cafetera if that's all you have. Also, you know, again, this is not like rocket science. You want to make it according to what your taste is. If you want coffee that's a little weaker, I shouldn't say weaker, maybe a little less strong, right? Then you can use less coffee when you're actually putting it in your cafetera or in the drip. Again, based on taste. And then, you know, a good thing to do if you want to make a lot of coffee ahead of time is that you can make it ahead of time, and then whatever you don't utilize, you can put it in the refrigerator, and then it's ready to go. Okay, so the coffee is actually starting to steam now, so I gather you can hear that, right? So you can hear it. And there's a little bit of water, a little bit of condensation coming out from the middle of the coffee pot, and that's fine because it's temporary. And then, I don't know if you can hear that, but now it's starting to brew. Right? So let's see if we have some coming out the top. And we sure do. Look at that. Delicious coffee on the way. And then, as it's brewing, then when it reaches to the actual point where it is now, and that's pretty much all the coffee that you're going to get, because as I said, it's not going to fill up all the way to the top. If you want the coffee to be stronger and you want it to, you do want it to sit longer. So what you're going to do is turn the flame down on low and then let it brew a little longer. So it's basically just going to sit in the top part of the coffee maker, and then it's just going to cook a little longer. It's going to brew a little longer. It's just going to sit and cook a little longer there in the top. And so then if you want it just as it is, fresh as it's already done, already made, then it's good to go. Then you can pour it and it's ready. You can use obviously any kind of creamer. Please know that if you add almond milk that's not actual almond-based creamer, it is not going to work. It's not going to change the color of the coffee. It's actually going to still look dark, even though the taste may change a little bit, but, you know, it's based on choice. Regular milk, 1%, 2%, doesn't matter. Oat milk, whatever you want, whatever is your flavor, whatever floats your boat, that's what you're going to work with. Also, if you want to add sugar, clearly you can do that. And, you know, if you want to make it be like a Starbucks drink, you can make some milk, steam some milk, or just heat up a little milk and then add that to your coffee as well. So again, whatever floats your boat. So I'm going to go ahead and have some straight from the cafetera because I don't need it to be too strong. I always check to make sure the handle is not hot, right? That way you know for a fact that the flame was below the base and did not extend past the base to make your handle hot or to start melting, right? So then we're going to pour it. Now, if you want to share this coffee, you can only do half full cup. Half full. It can only be half full if you want to share it with someone else. Otherwise, if it's only for you, that's your entire cup of coffee right here. That's the whole thing, right? So then you're going to, as I said, add your sugar, add your cream, milk, whatever floats your boat. Honey, doesn't make me any difference. You work with whatever works for you. And then once you poured your coffee, everything's good. My grandmother loved coffee with a slice of toast and some butter. Sat down at her table. She was ready to go. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. That's some good stuff. Have a good day.